Well, thanks, Mr. Chair, and good to see you again, Secretary Kennedy. Look, I agree with you that all Americans should have access to healthy food. However, President Trump has made it far harder for families to afford their groceries. Last year, the typical family paid hundreds of dollars more than they did the previous year on groceries such as fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, meat, coffee, and dairy. And while a few items, such as eggs, have gotten cheaper this year, other staples like beef continue to reach historic highs under President Trump. Do these high grocery prices make it easier or harder for families to eat fresh, healthy foods?
I would say that beef has dropped by 1% in the last quarter.
Look, beef prices are up 20%. Banana prices are up nearly 7% since President Trump took office. Cheese prices are up 6%. So again, when groceries get more expensive, easier or harder for families to afford the very healthy foods that you want them to eat?
Well, there's also, you can eat beef, you can eat poultry, you can eat fish, and the price of beef is dictated by the size of the herd. The herd dropped at the lowest.
Look, you're not answering, but obviously if the food is more
blaming
expensive.
President Trump for something that he didn't do.
Well, let's take a look at this image. Did you post this image in 2024 about grocery prices being too high?
I don't recall.
Well, you did post it. That's your handle up there, and and I agree that grocery prices were too high in 2024. But under President Trump, they have skyrocketed even further. So now let's go to an updated version of this post. Will you post this? The most expensive vehicle.
No, because President Trump actually brought down grocery costs for most of his term. I think there's been a raise recently in the price of everything.
Look, families are facing historic prices at the register. You don't need to be a Secretary of Health and Human Services to know that. You don't need to be a United States Senator to know that. The people in New Hampshire, the people across this country know that because they go to grocery stores today. And the fact that you either don't know it or you don't want to admit it just shows how out of touch you and the Trump administration are. Now let's go to another issue. Earlier this year, President Trump signed an executive order to increase production of the pesticide glyphosate, commonly known as Roundup, and to grant immunity from liability to the company that makes it. You've said that glyphosate causes cancer. You told Senator Schatz yesterday that you still believe that glyphosate causes cancer, and you expressed displeasure about the president's glyphosate order, and you also told Senator Schatz that the president's reasoning had to do with national security. So does President Trump's executive order, does his decision mean that more Americans are likely to be exposed to this chemical and get cancer?
No, it doesn't, because it doesn't increase the use of glyphosate. The president has invested more in trying to transition off of glyphosate than any other president.
Exactly. When and how did he do that? He did an executive order that says increase the production of it for both military, for weapons, and as herbicides. And he granted immunity to the huge corporation that produces this, a corporation that I believe you once sued and got recovery from because this chemical caused cancer. So does President Trump's decision mean that if there's more of this chemical, there's going to be more cancer? Yes or no?
It's not increasing production. It's increasing domestic production to displace the Chinese production, because 97% of our corn crop is dependent on glyphosate, 98% of our soy crop, and 100% of it is coming from China.
But yet, here's the thing. When you were running to get the Maha vote, you told people you would stand up to chemical companies. You would take carcinogens out of our agricultural system. You said that you would get these chemicals out of foods. That's what you said you would do to make America healthy again. And yet when push comes to shove and a big corporation, I mean, talk about the status quo here. It's Bayer Monsanto or something like that. It's the big company. And when the President of the United States, rather than trying to work to find alternatives, rather than try to get him to limit that executive order, you just stood down instead of standing up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You asked what President Trump has done. He's given me $200 million to help get America off of glyphosate.
Well, I would look forward to finding out who is doing the research and the science? And are you working with the EPA to do
Create
it?
this problem. You guys helped create this problem over the past 30 years.
And you just told the
He's
big
dealing with the
corporation that they
national-
don't even have liability for it
He
anymore.
is dealing with a national security vulnerability where the Chinese could shut off our food supply in a single day.
So
That's a
before,
good situation.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to yield my time, but I'm just going to say this: you have now been changing your testimony over time
I
about
have
this.
not changed my testimony.
You said earlier you were displeased with this. You tried to talk the president out of it.
I did.
And now you're just fully supportive of a huge corporation
didn't
having no
change my-
liability. Thank you.
I sued that corporation and got $11 billion from them, and it put them on the edge of bankruptcy.
Right, and now you're just folding right in front of them. Thank you.
Senator Tuberville.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.